Hello. Hello, приветствую всех зрителей, турнира Shadow Trophy. Вы на финале. С вами Дмитрий Мид, комьюнити-менеджер VIRPIL Controls. К сожалению, я не буду так много говорить по-русски в этом стриме, потому что все-таки это довольно долго, утомительно, но некоторые важные моменты я обязательно вам проговорю. Одним из этих главных моментов является то, что я по традиции с прошлого ТОП16 полуфинала веду стрим не один. Со мной в стриме находится 104-й Maverick. Maverick, hello.
Hey Dimitri, good to see you again, my friend.
Good to see you too. Well, we have a few things to show you and to say about today's stream before we will see any of our participants. First of all, let me remind you about whom for and whom by this tournament was organized, or better say invented, developed, whose idea it was. It was our dearest friend Pavel Kuzin, Shadow, as many of you knows him by this nickname. And his idea was to make this racetrack. His idea was to make and to organize such an event as a helicopter race tournament. So just to show those who are watching us for the first time, I want to show you about a short video about him. Okay, we watched this video. It brings tears to my eyes every time I see it. Shadow was a close friend of mine. As I said in this video, I really miss him. Maverick, did you have an honor to contact with Shadow or watch him fly, fight, or somewhere else?
I did actually, yeah, and I just want to echo your sentiments there. What a beautiful tribute that video was, and it really showcases Shadow's extremely large skills, and he was a huge talent, and he's sorely missed in the DCS community. I did have the pleasure to fly with him and fly against him a couple of times when we were flying online, and yeah, sadly taken away from us far too soon, and he's very sorely missed.
Yes, and I want to mention thanks to his family who was generous to allow us to make this tournament live. So thank you, and really miss him. Okay, another thing we want to say before our participants will start flying is a little contest for you, dear viewers. We prepared VIRPIL Controls, a gift for those who will answer correctly to our question. The prize will be VPC Sharka 50 control panel, our first control panel in our most recent one, and I like it the most. So we will give it to those who will answer the right question, but right now let me show you a little bit more about this great device. Oh, wait a second, a little problem. Okay, this great device, VPC Sharka 50 control panel, will go to those who will answer the right correctly to this question. Maverick, the question is.
The question is, how many parts are contained within the VPC K50 control panel?
Yes, I will translate it to Russian. Как много деталей в контрольной панели VPC Sharka 50? Как много деталей? Вы проходите по ссылкам в описании к нашим стримам, там вас, а также по ссылкам в чате, там вам будет доступна форма, отвечайте в ней, и в конце стрима мы подведем итоги и выберем победителя. We will announce our winner later in the stream at the end of it. Right now you can check links in chat, links in description, and answer the question there. So right now we will introduce our pilots. Let me show you our standings. First one will be Group B. It consists of 8 pilots, and the first who will fly is Fox 11 Rose. He showed 1 minute 45 and 81 seconds in top 64. Second will be Viv 11 Conquer. Next will be Envy, Stange, Wolfer, Tankist, Hans Wolfenstein, and Rev Hooligan. You can watch their times in top 64, and Delta 2 best result shown by BSD Randy on last stream. Maverick?
Yeah, some great flying by these guys last weekend. Some very impressive skills. I'm looking forward to seeing what everybody can bring to the table today. I know all these guys are going to be really highly motivated to come in the top 3 because there's some absolutely fantastic prizes on offer from VIRPIL today. So all of these guys will be trying their absolute best to try and get in there and steal the win.
Okay, our pilots are ready to fly. First one looks like he's already on his way to starting area.
Nice. Yeah, looks like we're going to be going airborne with Fox 11 Russ coming up in the KA-50. He's actually the only KA-50 pilot taking part in this group from what I can see so far. We have another free Mi-24 sitting back on the ground, but Fox 11 Russ heading out in the KA-50. This guy done really well last weekend. We were very impressed with the skills that he managed to show. Set 2 very competitive times. So he's looking to get back out there again today and represent Team KA-50 and show everybody what it can do. Lining up his start again from a little offset from the right hand side. He's taking a big altitude cut, Dimitri. He's getting very high up now, almost at 2,000 feet as he starts his run in towards the FARP to enter through gate 1 as fast as possible. Here we go. Alright, heading through gate 1, doing 168 knots. It's a tight cut to the left and then a very fast switch back to the right hand side. He's getting a little bit wobbly. He's just off the optimum trajectory at the moment. He's going to struggle getting around this pile, and this is going to cost him a lot of airspeed, Dimitri. He's getting as slow as 110 knots and is finding himself in big problems here. Maybe just a little bit of pressure getting to him. It is the finals after all, so he is going to be trying to push the aircraft at its absolute limit, and he might have just been taking a little bit too much liberties with the aircraft position here, but he is managing to recover quite well. The aircraft speed is now back up to 140 knots as we head down towards the turn of death at the bottom of the runway for our first big left-hand 180-degree turn. Okay, here we go with the offset to the right-hand side. Overbanks the aircraft to the left nice and early. Gets tight and close to that inside pylon. Maybe just a little bit too close. Cuts it very fine indeed. Absolutely. It couldn't be much more tighter than that. He got away with it though. And now he's on the back straight. Goes through the bottom gate with about 105 knots, which was good. Unfortunately, he has missed one gate already, so he will be looking at a time penalty as he gets to the end of this run. But the good news is he will have another run to try and fix the problems that he made at the start and hopefully get a faster time in his second run. Approaching the aircraft's top speed now, we're doing more than 175 knots as we approach gate 16. Go through gate 16 at 176 knots. with one missed gate, so he needs to make sure that he nails his final turn and get it absolutely as perfectly as he can. Rolls the aircraft over, good booty left rudder in there, overbanks the aircraft on the climb up, getting that nose down to try and get the gravity assist on the way back through the final gate, and it's a time of 103 seconds, which is actually, I beg your pardon, it's a time of 117 seconds. It was 103 seconds through the gate 16, so unfortunately that is not a great time for Fox 1-1, and he'll be looking to do much better in the next run. Okay, next up we have VIF11 Conquer 4 representing in the MI24. He had a good run out last weekend and managed to secure a position in the finals today. So the pressure will be on. I know that he must have been practicing a lot during the week. I actually seen him do a little bit of practicing earlier on today, and I got to be honest, Dimitri, he's looking good. He was doing everything right. He managed to get through the start gate with the maximum speed of the aircraft. He kept his altitude very sensibly. He was going through gate 1, 2, 3 and 4 at a very fast rate of knots. So I'm expecting good things here from Conquer today. I think he's put in a lot of hard work, and it might just pay the bills today. Conquer might be going home with a big prize if he can just get this run right. Okay, here we go. Already doing 170 plus knots. Go through gate 1 with 173. Nice switch back to the left. Good altitude management here. You see how he starts going through the course quite high, and he gradually gets the aircraft lower, not allowing the aircraft to climb up any higher on the pylons. He's consistently getting lower and lower and lower, and this is great stuff by Conquer. The slowest that the aircraft got was 149 knots. Now compare this to last weekend when he was going through at the slowest point at about 128 or 130 knots. So Conquer's obviously been doing a lot of practice here, guys, and it looks like it's really going to pay off. This is going to be a very, very fast run indeed. Sets himself well up for the corner of death here, takes a nice cut out to the right hand side, lets the aircraft climb a little bit so he can get the nose down going through the back end gate. Nice overbank, close into the inside pylon, gets that nose down for the gravity assist to go through the bottom gate at 104 knots, which is not a bad start whatsoever. And now nose all the way forward, collective up as much as he dares, and just thinking ground speed, ground speed. Just needs to accelerate as best as possible and get the aircraft up to its top speed as we head towards gate 16. Already doing 175 knots. This is great flying by Conquer. This is the fastest we've seen Conquer fly. 179 knots going through gate 16. This has a chance to be. This guy has a chance to set the fastest time we've seen by a non-KA-50 aircraft here. This actually might be the fastest time we've seen by any aircraft if he can get this turn right. Nice overbank, check in the middle, get that nose down, stamp on the left pedal, and through he goes. 95 seconds. Oh my God, that's amazing.
Amazing time.
Sorry, it's 99 seconds. I keep getting the wrong time. I must be looking at the time going through the second last gate, but 99.7 seconds going through the final gate. Still less than 100 seconds. A sub 1 minute 40 second run. That is absolutely fantastic. That's a very, very competitive time. Next up, we have NVC from the RS squadron taken to the skies. Another very talented pilot who had a very strong showing last weekend. All these pilots had great runs last weekend. There was hundreds of people that applied to take part in this event. And we chose the top 64 pilots to take part last weekend for the qualifiers and the semi-finals. So all these guys have had to fight through a lot of very talented people who put some very competitive times down on the board to make it through to the top 16. So we're expecting to see big things from all these guys today. It should be some very impressive flying all afternoon. And Envy goes through gate number 1 a little bit slower than Conquer did. He's doing 155 knots through gate 1, but he's slow and steady. And there is a little bit of an element of that. That could pay off some good dividends if he can just keep the momentum. It looks like he's going to miss this gate, Dimitri. Unfortunately, he's just got a little bit out of whack, missed the optimum trajectory, and it looks like he's going to give up on his first run. Alright, our last contender for the first run is Steensch heading up in the MI24. Alright, Steen's taking quite a low setup on the initial run. It looks like he's going to climb to get a little bit of altitude here, but definitely a different approach to the previous pilots that we've seen. All of the previous pilots got themselves up to about almost 2,000 feet, certainly above 1,500 feet to start their initial run. And Steen's looking to do things a little bit differently, starting his run from 1,200 feet, so below the average, but he's still looking in good shape. Nice high altitude entry into gate 1, doing 153 knots. He's going to look to try and get the aircraft to descend as he goes through the first 4 gates. That's hugely important, Dimitri, to make sure that the aircraft does not climb. He is climbing a little bit now, and that's going to cost him dearly. This race is all about saving as many milliseconds as you can, and unfortunately he's getting a little bit out of shape, and it looks like we're inbound for an early landing. Unfortunately, Steech got a little bit too close, and we're going to be touching down. Just want to give massive props to our cameraman. That's some absolutely fantastic work getting the replays up so early there. Well done, guys. That looks fantastic. Okay,
looks a lot. We tried.
Yeah. Alright, it looks like our next group is getting set up for their first run, Dimitri. We have Will Ferrell in the MI-24, Hooligan in the MI-24, Hans Wolfenstein in the KA-50, and Tank East in the KA-50. All 4 pilots, very strong showings last weekend. I particularly remember Tank East was very quick in the KA-50, so let's see what he can do today. First up, however, is going to be Will Ferrell in the MI-24 as he takes to the skies. Wolf representing Belgium. One of the only Belgian pilots that we have representing in the competition. Certainly one of the only ones that go into the top 64. Again, all of these guys had to beat off hundreds of competitors to qualify for the semi-finals, and they all flew last weekend to see who the best was going to be from the top 64 to make the top 16 in the finals today. So I'm sure all these pilots have been working hard all week, and they'll be trying to push their aircraft to the absolute limit. Will Ferrell getting some flares out there just to make it look good. And here we go, approaching gate 1, doing 150 knots, so well inside that manoeuvrability window that we talked about. Once they get this left check done nice and early, with the quick snap back to the right hand side, as he lets the aircraft descend to get some extra speed as he goes through the gates, maintaining a speed of above 150 knots. This is a good start. Might get a little bit slow going around pylon number 4 here, and he does indeed lets the aircraft get down to about 140 knots, 140, which isn't too bad. He definitely can recover from this as he starts to get that slow and methodical left to right momentum going as he hunts down that optimum trajectory heading down to the bottom of the runway. Takes a big cut up to the right hand side to set up for the turn of death. Here we go. Starts the left hand turn nice and early. Gets the aircraft to climb up for the gravity assist on the way down. Needs to watch out for that pylon, and it's a little bit too close. Looks like Tank East is up next in the KA-50 Black Shark, actually flying a Black Shark. Nice to see, absolutely fantastic looking skin. As we check out the replay again from Will Ferrell, unfortunately just pushing the boundaries just a little bit too much. He just got a little bit too close there. Tank East now heading downrange in the KA-50. Again, doesn't look like he's going to get set up with too much of an altitude cut. He's about 1,200 feet at the moment. He is getting a little bit of nose-up attitude here. He looks like he's going to start his run, his highest point at 1,600 feet, so doesn't really feel the need to go up all the way to 2,000 as we've seen some other pilots do. he's confident enough that he's going to be able to get enough airspeed from the 1600 feet advantage that he's going to give himself. And he starts to run in. Good ground speed approaching gate 1. We're doing 160 knots, 160 as we go through gate 1. 158 knots now, just starts to slow the aircraft down a little bit. Enters actually quite a low profile, doesn't give himself the opportunity to take too much of an advantage, and he's already getting a little bit out of shape. He's going to have to do a heavy overbank to the left. That's really going to cost him for ground speed. The aircraft's getting way down to 104 knots now. Now, I'm afraid this is not going to be too much of a competitive run for Tankies because he's a little bit too slow on the start, but it is going to give him a chance to get some practice in for the back end of the course so he can set a more competitive time on his second run. The K50 doing an absolutely fantastic job at recovering that ground speed. I love how quickly this aircraft accelerates with that dual rotor system. We're already very quickly back up to 160 knots as we approach the left-hand 180 degree turn of death as he elevates up to get that gravity assist on the way back down and recover that ground speed, start moving through the air as fast as possible. That's an absolutely fantastic entry. Goes through the back gate, gate 14 with 116 knots. One of the fastest entries we've seen into that gate. So if he can replicate that in the next round after a faster start, he's going to be looking at setting a very competitive time. Lots of flares on the way down. I wonder if that's a tactic just to make the aircraft a little bit lighter and trying to get every bit of advantage that he can out the aircraft. But certainly looking good at the moment. 175 knots as we approach the back end of the course for the final left-hand 180 degree turn. Super crucial, this one, to get right. Just wants to thread the needle, not lose too much ground speed as he goes through the final gate. Unfortunately, he did miss a gate, so he is going to get a time penalty of 10 seconds, and that's a final time of 116.3 seconds. Let's hope he can do better next time. Next up we have Hans Wolfenstein representing in the K50. The white K50 as well, the white and red one. Normally we see people rocking and rolling in the blackest of black sharks, but Wolfenstein looking to fly a little bit of a different flag. Hasn't raised the gear yet. I wonder if that's maybe the pressure of the finals getting to him and he's forgotten to do that. Normally we see pilots getting the aircraft undercarriage up pretty quickly. I'm sure Wolfenstein, hopefully he's going to get a reminder. He might even be listening to the stream. But yeah, certainly at the moment, gear's still down. If he doesn't remember to bring that gear up, that is going to punish him a little bit as we run through the course. Remembers to get the flares out to get it looking good. Takes an altitude cut of about 1,500 feet as he starts his run down towards gate 1. Unfortunately, he has overlooked the landing gear, and that is going to cost him a little bit, especially on the back straight. Hans representing the United States of America, really bobbing and weaving with those rudder pedals, gets himself a little bit out of sync as he goes through the third pylon, approaching pylon 4, but this is good stuff so far. Manages to maintain the aircraft speed of above 140 knots, looking at 145 knots at the moment. So he is heading down towards the bottom of the course. He should have some good top end speed because he didn't let the aircraft get too slow at the start. But again, having this landing gear down is going to cost him a little bit. It's not going to make a huge difference, guys, but obviously this is an air race, so every second counts, and just having that landing gear down, well, it might not impact his top speed too heavily. It certainly is going to impact how quickly the aircraft accelerates. As he heads towards the turn of death here, takes a nice big cut out to the right hand side, steps down on that left pedal, gets the left side click input now, nose up a little bit just to get that gravity assist on the way back down. Doesn't want to turn in too tight, levels off a little bit, goes through gate 14 with 109 knots. It's a good setup running down to the back corner. Oh, and he remembers the gear now. Here's the gear coming up, guys, for the back straight. Maybe that was a little bit of a tactic. Maybe he wanted to just have the gear down just to get a little bit more manoeuvrability. I'm not sure 100% what's going on there. I think he might have just forgotten in the pressure of the moment. It is the finals after all, and there are big prizes at stake today. And he's heading down towards gate 16 now, doing 175 knots. So remember to get the gear up. Good top end speed as a result. He might be able to make a bit of a recovery here. 179 knots approaching the back gate, so a very impressive top speed through the last gate, second to last gate, the penultimate gate. Turns a little bit too tight, has to take a quick check in the middle and gets through with a time of 102 seconds, 142.25 seconds with no missed gates. That's a good showing from Hans. I think he can do better next time if he remembers to get the gear up from the start of the course. But that's he's got to be confident with that. I think that's setting him up nicely for the second run. RF Hooligan up next, representing in the MI24. And we did see a lot of very fast KA50s last weekend. We did, I think, to start the competition, most pilots were actually in the MI24. Initially, certainly I thought that was going to be the fastest aircraft of the competition. But then as we moved through the time zones, we've seen that the KA50s were actually the fastest pilots that set the quickest times. But certainly the MI24 does have what it takes. We've seen a very fast time set by Young Conquer. So I think if the MI24 guys can just get out there and make sure they don't make any mistakes, they fly a nice sensible race, they're going to be right up there competing with the KA50 in that fast little aircraft. Hooligan taking a big altitude cut to get a good start here. Looks like he wants to be going through gate 1 as fast as possible. Very similar to the setup that we've seen with Conquer. Going through gate 1 now with 171 knots, so really needs to make sure he nails his first couple of turns very close to the first pylon. Beautiful switch back on the right hand side. Might get a little bit too deep going down pylon 3, being nice and aggressive here. He's getting the aircraft down to a slowest point of 144 knots, so a tiny little bit slower than what we've seen from the previous MI24 time, but certainly well within the margin for a good recovery as he heads down towards the slightly easier part of the slalom track where the distance between the gates gets larger and the pilots can fall into this nice methodical left to right optimal trajectory to keep that ground speed building and building as they set up for the big turn of death, that dreaded left hand 180 degree spin. As we approach now, taking a nice cut to the right hand side, doesn't want to go too wide, but sets up nice open door for him, overbanks the aircraft in the climb, nice check over there, a little bit close to the inside pylon, going through the bottom of the course at 102 knots, so a little bit on the slow side for the finals, but certainly good enough to get to the top speed of the aircraft by the time he gets to the bottom of the taxiway that we're racing down here towards the final gate and accelerating towards the last 180 degree left hand turn. .173 knots going through gate 16, so not the fastest ground speed we've seen, but certainly enough to be competitive. Takes a nice cut to the right hand side, setting up for the final turn. Starts the turn nice and early, gets as close as he dares to the inside pylon. Nice overbank with some nose down going through the final gate. That's a fantastic way to finish the course, and he sets a time of 102.5 seconds, 1 minute 42 seconds with no penalties for any missed gates. That's a good start for Hooligan. Alright, looks like we're seeing the initial run of the first pilots that we've seen from this group. These guys are all heading back out for their second run. And first up is going to be Fox 11 Russ, who unfortunately didn't have the best run. I think the nerves got a little bit to Fox. The pressure of being in the finals just struck a little bit. So I'm sure that he's gone away, he's taken some deep breaths, he's got himself into a good mental place, and he's ready to come out and set a very competitive time in a very quick KA-50 aircraft. Fox on the start with quite a decent altitude little kick here, up at 1700 feet, heading for 1800. Looks like he's going to start from about 2000. There's 1950 feet, so just a little smidge smaller than 2000 feet, which means he's going to be very quick through gate number 1. That's going to make the challenge quite large, getting past the first 4 gates. But this guy definitely has the skills to make sure he negotiates it. He just needs to make sure the pressure doesn't get to him, and he times his first turn right. Is he going to do it? He's left it a little bit too late, if I'm honest. He's going to struggle getting round pylons 2 and 3 now, and here we see it. Oh no, the overbank's coming round, and here's where gate number 3 is going to really bite him. He's not going to make it, folks. He might even hit it. Oh, and he does, unfortunately, he bites the dust. Another one bites the dust, ladies and gentlemen. Trying a little bit too hard. The pressure got to the Fox. I'm sorry that happened to you, sir. Unlucky. Some fantastic replay action here by a cameraman. Shout out to that guy. Well done. So Fox, unfortunately, trying a little bit too hard. He really delayed his turn in there. With the speed that he was going into the first pylon, he really needed to be setting up so he could turn the aircraft, at least start the turn before he reached the first pylon. And what we've seen is that he actually flew past the first pylon before he started his initial turn. That makes it really difficult for you. Yeah, you can get around the first pylon and the second pylon, but if you leave it too late, it makes setting up for the third pylon very hard work indeed. Young Conquer taken to the skies now. An absolutely blistering time by this young man on his first run. He's been obviously practicing an awful lot during the week. Takes a big altitude cut from about 1,800 feet. So he's looking to go through gate number 1 as fast as possible again. We've seen him go through it in the first round over 170 knots. Now wait till you see, watch how early Conquer starts the turn here as we go through. Gate number 1 at 173 knots, good altitude cut as well. Starts the turn before pylon 1, which is absolutely crucial. A good altitude advantage as he goes through the first set of pylons as well. And if you notice, he keeps that nose down, guys. This is so crucial to make sure as you go through the first 5 pylons that you just consecutively get lower and lower and lower. If you consistently just get the aircraft lower towards the ground, you maintain that airspeed, and that transfers into good ground speed, which means a good time by the time you get to the bottom of the track for that left-hand 180-degree turn. So started towards the top half of the pylons, and now as we get to the bottom of the course, the nose is literally scraping off the ground. He's in really good shape here. He's just about matching his personal best, so he needs to make sure that the back end of the course is as good as possible. Maybe a little bit too harsh on that pull turn there. The aircraft's getting a little bit slow down to 100 knots through the bottom gate at 102 knots. Oh no, there's been a horrible misunderstanding, and has he been able to recover that as an unscheduled landing, ladies and gentlemen? Touching down. Yeah, just a little bit too aggressive as he went through at the bottom of the runway, setting up for the turn of death. Just pulled in a little bit too much, lost a bit more airspeed than he would have been happy with, and that essentially meant he lost a lot of lift as well. He was looking to try and maintain a lot of momentum going through that bottom gate to try and enter the back straight with as much speed as possible to get up to that top speed as quickly as he could. And yeah, pressure just getting a little bit to Conquer there. I think he was trying just a little bit too hard, but an absolutely fantastic effort on the first run. I think that's the fastest time we've seen from any MI24, so hopefully that's going to pay some good bills for him towards the end of the competition. But up next we have RS NBC again in the MI24, looking to set a nice blistering time on his second run. Goes through gate number 1 a little bit slower than Conquer did, 155 knots, which makes the first set of pylons a bit more negotiable for him. Needs to make sure that he keeps that nose down. We're getting a little bit out of shape here as the aircraft starts to balloon up. All these little transgressions are meaning that we're just costing ourselves little milliseconds at a time as the aircraft loses a little bit of airspeed as the aircraft climbs up, when really we want the aircraft to be constantly descending. But he recovers very well, keeps the aircraft about 145 knots going through the pylons. The slowest speed we got was 139, so it's going to be a competitive time. I don't think it's going to be up there with the best, but let's see how we can do in the back end of the course. Nice cut out to the right hand side. Doesn't want to be too aggressive here on the turn of death. It's all about being slow, smooth and methodical with the inputs on the controls, and a little bit too aggressive. We're down to 94 knots, so yeah, unfortunately didn't do a great job of setting up the entry into the back gate there. Really what we're looking for these guys to be doing is taking a little altitude cut, getting the nose to come up as they start the left hand turn, so they can then overbank the aircraft in the middle and get the nose down and get that gravity assist as they go through the gate at the bottom of the course, gate 14. But nice recovery here from Envy as he heads towards the aircraft's top speed. We're already doing 165 knots on his way towards 170, approaching gate 16. Again, nice little check to the right. Wants to start this turn nice and early. This is going to be very tight indeed. Takes a little check going through the gate. Keeps the ground speed's absolutely fantastic going through here. And that's not bad at all, guys, considering he was a little bit slow at the start of the course. That's a time of 1 minute and 6 seconds. Not bad whatsoever. No penalties for Envy. Good job, sir. And finally for this group we have our friend Steensch coming back up in the Mi-24, representing the United Nations. He's getting out there looking to unite those nations, setting a good time for his second lap of the course here. Representing France, mon ami. We've had quite a few French competitors in the competition. Nice to see. A good multinational crowd we've had. We've got people from all over the world, the United States, Australia, Belgium, France, Germany, Russia, the United Kingdom. We even had a brother from, we had someone in from South Africa as well, guys. So, yeah, an international crowd.
Also from Brazil.
Also from Brazil, yeah, so almost...
New Zealand, Australia, United States.
Everybody wanting a little piece of that prize action. Alright, Steensch heading towards gate 1. A little bit pedestrian in the pace. 148 knots as we go through. But that's going to give him a nice little advantage to make sure the aircraft's more manoeuvrable. Leaves his turn through pylon number 1 a little bit late. That's going to bite him a little bit as he approaches pylon number 4. And subsequently the aircraft speed does get quite slow. 129 knots as he goes through pylon number 4. So certainly not the fastest pace we've seen. And I think that was because he left his initial turn to go around the first pylon a little bit too late. But a fantastic recovery from our friend Steensch here. We're already back up to 155 knots as we accelerate down towards the dreaded turn of death. That big left hand 180 degree turn. Nice big cut out to the right hand side. Wants to set this left hand turn up nice and early, and he does. And here he comes with that climb that we talked about before. And then get that nose down to get that gravity assist, that hand of God just pushing you through the bottom gate. 92 knots, however, not the best start onto the back end of the course here, but certainly recoverable. If you can just keep that nose down, keep that collective rising, and get on the fast pedal as fast as he can, and we want to be up to in excess of 170 knots by the time we get to gate 16. He's doing a great job of that. We're approaching 165 knots already. As we get towards the aircraft's top end speed, we go through 170 knots now. We're looking to try and get up to about 175, maybe even 179 before we start this last turn, 180 degrees through the final 2 gates. Takes a little check to the right hand side, wants to set this up nice and early, pull the aircraft up so the aircraft climbs up. This is looking good. Stamp on that left pedal, get the cyclic over to the left, get the nose down, and then roll through that final gate with some good airspeed. That's a fantastic run. No penalties and a great time for Steensch. 105 seconds, 1 minute 45.6 seconds. Well done, sir. Back up now with the second contingent of our first group. We have the Mi-24 of Will Ferrell, or Will Ferrell as I like to call him, representing back up again in the Mi-24. A good time set by this guy last round. This is our Belgium friend. Yes, good flying by this guy last weekend and also earlier on today. Set a good competitive time. His top 64 time was 145. So the guy definitely has the skills, knows what he's doing. Just needs to. The difficulty with this, however, is just one little mistake, especially at the very start of the course, can really cost you. If you let the aircraft speed get below 140 knots, it really just penalises you the whole way down the circuit here. So it's so crucial that you get the first 4 turns right. Wolf approaching gate number 1 with 150 knots, 156 knots going through gate 1. Nice check to the left, switches back to the right. Needs to start the aircraft descending now a little bit to get that extra help from gravity as he approaches the difficult pylon number 4. Fantastically well judged. Aircraft a little bit on the slow side, however. 135 knots going through pylon number 4. Really, the fastest times we've seen, all the guys have managed to keep the aircraft speed above 140 knots going through pylon number 4. The fastest guys we've seen have actually had the aircraft at 150 knots. So Wolf a little bit behind the pace. However, he does have the opportunity to recover that if he can make the left hand 180 degree turn of death. If he can nail that, get a good fast top end speed going into the back end gate, heading for the back straight, he can really get himself in contention here. Good altitude cut, nose down, this is looking good. Goes through just about without hitting the ground, 92 knots. So setting up for a little bit of a difficult run down the back straight. Needs to be very disciplined with keeping his nose down. Wants to get the aircraft a little bit lower. Use the gravity. He's kind of got himself up at around about 20 or 30 feet right now. He could be using that gravity assist to get the nose right down, literally scraping off the ground, which is what he's starting to do now. Getting that nose as low as possible and transferring all that potential energy into ground speed. .175 knots on the end of the straight. Keeps the speed up. It's a little check in the middle. That might cost him just a little bit and goes through. That's a decent time. 105. Very competitive indeed. The same as the last time that we've seen set. 105.9 seconds with no penalties. Well done, Wolf. Next up we have our Russian friend, Tankist is back up in his black shark KA-50 with the awesome looking shark's teeth on the front of the aircraft. Let's see what Tankist can do. Tankist starting with a decent altitude cut, 1,700 feet to just help his acceleration. Looks like he wants to be going through gate number 1 with his, well, he slowed down just a little bit. We're doing 158 knots now. He could have been doing maybe 170 with that altitude, so it looks like he wants to keep the speed down just a little bit to make sure that it's manageable. Off to a good start, good switch back to the right hand side, getting a little bit out of shape now, but certainly well managed. The slowest the aircraft got is about now 127 knots. So he's off the pace. And try and just negate that little bit of a disadvantage that he set himself. He is up so far on his personal best by about 2 seconds. 2.5 seconds. So if he can nail this turn of death here and set up his entry nicely on the back straight and get up to the aircraft's top speed as fast as possible, he could recover from here. Takes a good altitude cut. This is what we like to see, and then stamp on that left pedal, nose down to go through the back gate with as much speed as possible. Does a good job. 112 knots, 112 knots going through the bottom gate, which means he's going to get to his top speed even quicker. Popping some flares out just to reduce the aircraft weight a little bit. Every little helps on this, guys. Every millisecond counts. Now you see, nice start, nice shallow descent, gets the aircraft nose nice and low. Doesn't want to climb, just wants to keep pushing the nose down. He is starting to balloon just a little bit, and that will cost him a couple of milliseconds. Really wants to have the nose essentially scraping right off the ground as much as he can. 176 knots now though, so fantastic airspeed here as we set up. Starts it nice and early, check on the bank, stamps on the pedal, good altitude advantage here. and getting a little bit tight and flowing through the final gate with 127 knots. Great competitive time, 103.7 seconds, a 143.7. Well done, sir. Hans Wilvenstein, our American friend, taken to the skies again, corrects his mistake from the last time. He gets the landing gear up nice and early on this run. Getting some flares out, making it look good. Good altitude cut from 1700 feet. Quite aggressive on the nose down as well. He's going to be going through gate 1 with some good ground speed here. We're already at 155 knots as we approach the top end of 164 through gate number 1. Starts his turn nice and early. Good pedal work here. Nose ballooned up a little bit. That will cost him as he heads down the course here, but it's good bobbing and weaving so far. This is going to be a tight one, and this one's going to be even worse. Oh, big overbank there. Manages to salvage it though. Well done, sir. The aircraft gets a little bit slow though. 128 knots was the slowest speed we've seen there. But it's going to be a good recovery from Wolf if we can just... Sorry, from Wolfenstein. If we can just keep that nose down, keep scraping it off the ground, just be thinking ground speed, ground speed, ground speed. We're already doing 162 knots as we approach the bottom of the runway. A great recovery from Hans. Takes a little cut out to the right hand side. Wants to get a little bit of an altitude cut here. Sets up nicely. Good overbank going through the gate. This is beautiful. We're just hanging a little bit too long. That's going to cost him just a couple of seconds. But he goes through the back gate with 115 knots, which is a great setup for getting to his top speed as he heads towards gate 16. Nose nice and low. Collective coming up as much as possible. Getting some more flares out there as well. Making it look good. Just try to get as much weight off the aircraft as possible. We're already doing 173 knots well before gate 16. This is going to be a good time from Hans if he can just nail this back corner. Almost 180 knots going through gate 16, and we're doing 178. One of the highest top speeds we've seen so far. 179 knots now. Come on, Hans, let's do it, brother. Goes through a great entry. Doesn't want to get hung up too far here. Overbank slipping through. That's fantastic. 101.02 seconds. Well done, sir. One of the quickest times we've seen so far. Okay, our final contestant for this group is RF Hooligan, representing the MI24. This is going to be his second run, so the pressure is on from him. Needs to make sure this one's a good one. He is quick and on the pace, as he was only 2.8 seconds behind the fastest time. So the opportunity is there for him. The problem is, if you make just one mistake, it really does cost you. It's a little bit like the Formula 1 qualifying, whereas it doesn't matter if you drive an almost perfect lap. All it takes is for someone to come out and drive an actual perfect lap. So every mistake is going to cost you time here. So the pilot that can keep his cool, maintain his discipline, not make any mistakes, is going to be in a really strong position to go ahead and grab that first prize. Hooligan with a big altitude cut, nice acceleration. We're already doing 171 knots. Approaching the first gate with a little bit of an offset. He's going to start the turn a little bit early. Good altitude advantage. If he can start descending the aircraft now, this is going to be really good. Gets very close to that pylon, but it's a fantastic switchback. So this is looking good, guys. The slowest he's got is 148 knots. Now remember, a couple of moments ago we mentioned that the fastest pilots have been going around pylon number 4 with 150. Hooligan just went round with 148, so slightly slower, but certainly well within the window to recover that if he can just nail the turn of death, get a good entry onto the back straight, get up to that top speed as fast as possible, and then just throw a rock around that final turn and get through as quickly as he can. He is up on his personal best time. Takes a big cut to the right hand side. Maybe a little bit too aggressive there, far too aggressive. I can see what he was trying to do there. He was trying to get the aircraft to just balloon up nicely, but unfortunately he just took a little bit too much of a bite out of that, and the aircraft lost quite a lot of speed going through there. We were doing 97 knots before we even went through the gate, so he is setting himself a little bit of a challenge here to get to the top speed early. He is still up on his personal best by some half a second though, so as long as he can just maintain this acceleration rate, get to the bottom end of this taxiway, thread the needle through the last two pylons, he's going to be looking at setting a competitive time. 174 knots going through gate number 16. Takes a little cut to the right hand side, starts the left hand turn nice and early. This is what he was trying to do in that previous one, just balloon up a little bit, then transfer that to nose down to get a little bit of a gravity assist as he goes through the final gate, and that's a decent time. That's 102.5 seconds, a 1 minute 42.5, not bad at all. Touching down.
Иду в эфир. Looks like that was all pilots from our first group, from Group B. We will publish a results table a little bit later. Right now, I want to remind our viewers that they can get themselves a good device called VPC Sharka 50 control panel. All you need to do right now is follow the link in chat and in descriptions to these streams, and answer a simple question. How many parts are in this device? Сколько в панели VPC Sharka 50 Control Panel деталей? Отвечайте на этот вопрос, проходя по ссылке в описании и в чате, указывайте свой адрес, и если вы угадаете, если вы будете ближе всех, то эта панель может вполне стать вашей. Дерзайте и удачи! Maverick, I think we need to make some commercial break, and also give our second group, Group A, time to prepare and for arbiters to organize. So we will go to some commercials.
Excellent.
We'll be back in a few minutes.
VIRPIL Controls has been equipping space-sim pilots with the tools required to conquer the universe. Dual-stick cockpits, control panels, throttles. Now we are here to take your cockpit to the next level. Introducing the VPC Z extension. Premium all-metal construction to withstand the heat of battle. Standard grip interface, compatible with all VPC grips. Adjustable grip angle, configured to your preferences. Your cockpit, your victory. Dominate the universe with VIRPIL Controls.
Okay, we're back. I'm Maverick.
Yeah, welcome back, guys. Welcome back. So we're looking at taking up the next group of finalists here. We've already seen the first 8, and now we'll be looking at setting up the last 8 competitors. So we're going to go in 2 groups of 4. We had some great times set from the last group. Fastest though was our young man Conquer 4 VIF11 set a very competitive time in the MI24. As far as I'm concerned, that's the surprise of the tournament so far. A lot of people, including myself, thought that the KA-50 was going to be the fastest aircraft in both groups, but Conquer 4, representing very well in the MI24, set a very competitive time of 1 minute 39.7 seconds, followed closely by Hans Wildenstein from the United States in the KA-50 with a 141 flat. Then representing Russia, we had RF Hooligan in the Mi-24 with a 142.5. Then Tankist from Russia in the Ka-50 with a 143.7. Stinch from France representing in the Mi-24 with a 145. My friend Will Ferrell, who is from Romania and not Belgium, as I incorrectly said earlier on, in the Mi-24 with a 145.9. RS NVC from Australia in the Mi-24 with a 146.3, and Fox 11 from Russia in the Ka-50 with a 157.9. So some very competitive times from our first 8 competitors.
Yes, good times, but as we can see, we have only 3 winners who will get main prizes for the tournament. So Tankist and Stange, Wolferel, Envy and Fox will get only prizes for becoming top 16 members. Participants, this will be joining to VPC Founders Club, which gives 5% lifetime discount in VIRPIL Controls web stores. So that's all. What they can get right now is a lot. We are welcoming them, and Conquer, Wolfenstein and Hooligan will wait for the results of next Group A to see if someone can beat their times. So right now we have results. We have a table with Group A and results from top 64. They are much more capable pilots, judging by their results. And Maverick, can you introduce our top pilots of the tournament?
Yeah, certainly. Some very fast times by these 8 pilots. So the fastest guys that we've seen fly in the competition so far. And like you mentioned, Conquer and Hans will be watching very closely, and although some other pilots have set faster times than them, there is a chance that they can still win some prizes, because as we know, it is finals day, Dimitri, and there's a lot of pressure on these pilots to push the aircraft to the absolute limit, and when we start flying on the limit, that's when people make mistakes. So it's certainly not all over yet. But coming up in the next group, we have 8 very talented pilots. BSD Laskar, who represented last weekend with a time of 1:42, BSD Miki with a 1:42.5, Rybin 777 with a 1:42.1, Sharkbait with a 1:41.9, so we're getting very close to that 100-second mark now. Yol Danny, who had a great weekend last weekend with a 1:40.2, Freejack, who was represented in the K50 with a 1:39.9, Divine Fire Sagent with a blistering time of 1:38.2, one of the fastest times we've seen in the whole competition, but by far and away the biggest star of the show, BSD Randy with an almost unbelievable time of 1:37.5. If I hadn't seen it with my own eyes, Dimitri, I wouldn't have believed it.
Yes, their time was really fast, almost like in qualification. Right now our pilots are almost ready to fly the racetrack. I want to remind our viewers about competition for them. First of all, in Russian. Уважаемые зрители, не забывайте, что идет конкурс от VIRPIL Controls на этом стриме. Если вы хотите выиграть панель VPC Shark 50, то для этого проходите по ссылкам в описании, по ссылкам в чате, отвечайте в анкете правильно на вопрос, и если ваш результат будет абсолютно точным или же самым близким к правильному, вы получите этот замечательный девайс. Поэтому дерзайте и ждем ваших результатов. Maverick.
Guys, you have an absolutely fantastic opportunity here today to win an amazing prize, a VPC Shark 50 control panel from VIRPIL, just by watching the stream and entering the competition. All you have to do is tell us how many parts do you think is included in the Shark 50 control panel. Click on the link that's in the chat, enter the number of parts that you think are contained within the control panel, and you can be walking away with a prize worth well over €250 just for watching the stream. The winner will be the person who guesses the exact number, or if no one guesses the exact number, whoever guesses the closest number of parts contained in the control panel. Good luck, everyone.
Yeah, looks like we have first competitor on the track.
Yeah, we have our friend, our French friend. It's actually BSD Mickey. It's not Lascar that we've seen on the graphic, and he's off to a great start. Starts with a nice altitude advantage, getting a little bit squirrely here now as we approach the dreaded pylon number 4. This is the one that really messes it up for many competitors as they head down the course. The first 2 turns are very manageable, but if you get offline just slightly, turn 4 is going to, pylon number 4 is going to turn up and make it very difficult for you to negotiate. So Miki heading down range now. The slowest that we've seen the aircraft get was 133 knots. So it's going to make his job much more difficult to set a very competitive time, but he does have another opportunity after this run to fix his mistakes that he made at the beginning of this one. Let's see if he can nail the turn of death here as we approach. Good wide cut. Takes a little bit of too much of a bite out. Wants to maintain a bit more momentum than that. But certainly we're off to a good start on the back straight, going through the bottom gate with 100 knots as he starts to accelerate up towards the aircraft's top speed. Miki heading towards the back end of the course now. Airspeed is looking fantastic. 169 knots as we approach through gate 16. So creeping up towards the maximum speed of the aircraft. He's taking a little cut to the right hand side to set up for this final turn. Starts the turn nice and early. Big booty left rudder as we go through. Nice altitude cut there. Unloads a little bit in the centre. That's going to cost him just a little half second, but he pops through. No missed gates. And a time of 105.4 seconds. That's not too bad for his first run, but he is going to want to do better for the second one if he wants to be in those final positions. Next up we have Rybin and Rybin Treble 7 in the KA50 Black Shark. Rybin was one of the fastest guys from last weekend, which is why he's managed to get himself into Group A for today's competition. So he'll be looking to compete. He'll really be wanting to make sure he makes it into that top 3, if not first place, to try and secure one of those fantastic prizes that are on offer. Rybin representing Spain. One of the few Spanish brethren that we've had on board for this competition. Already at 1600 feet, so he's looking to take a bigger altitude advantage. So it's looking like he's setting up to try and go through gate number 1 with about 170 knots. Up at 2000 feet now. Looking to just overbank the aircraft and get a big run down towards gate number 1 with as much speed as possible. Here we go. This is going to be a good one. I'm feeling good vibes from my Spanish friend. Hopefully he's going to deliver. Alright, we're already doing 169 knots. He's slowing the aircraft down just a little bit to 166, So we are going through with a lot of ground speed. Nice altitude start as well. See how high he is up on the pylons. He's more than halfway up the pylons. He wants to start getting lower now. He is ballooning just a little bit and keeping his altitude. Maybe that's part of his tactic, and he's going to start getting lower now. The slowest speed he got to was 144 knots. So he is in the arena to be competitive. The slowest we've seen some guys get at that point is 127 knots. So he is managing to keep a good airspeed going across the aircraft to make sure that translates into good ground speed as he points that nose down towards the runway and starts getting that extra gravity assist. Look how low the aircraft is now versus how high it was when he started the course. Taking a little cut out to the right hand side, just checking that left turn a little bit early, wants to get as close as he can to that inside pylon. Nice big altitude cut to then run downhill as we go through the bottom gate at 112 knots. This is setting him up nicely for that back straight where he wants to get to the top speed as fast as he can. Through gate number 15, already doing 170 knots, Dimitri, so he's well up on where the other competitors were in terms of how quickly they got to their top speed. Approaching gate number 16, doing 177 knots. This is fantastic flying from Ryben. This is going to be a very competitive time. Threads the needle nice and early, wants to get a little bit of an altitude cut here and then bring the nose back down with some left stamp on the pedal, and through he goes. Nice, very well done. A sub 100 second, very competitive time, 99.9 seconds. Crucially, no penalties for any missed gates as well. One of the fastest times we've seen today. That's going to be very competitive. He's going to be pleased with that. And he still has one more run to go to try and make it even better. Shark bait taken to the skies. Ironically, not flying a shark. He isn't flying a KA-50 Black Shark. He's elected to go up in the Hind, the MI-24P. So let's see if he has the skills to pay the bills. He has managed to get himself in the finals, so Mr. Marcus definitely has what it takes to beat off literally hundreds of other competitors to reach the finals today. So let's wish him the best of luck in his MI-24. Hopefully he can get off to a good start for his first run and then start his second run with a lot of confidence. Doesn't take too much of an altitude cut. Happy just to settle down at around about 160 knots he's going to go through gate 1 at. 165 actually. So a good start. Nice early cut. Good switch back to the right hand side. Not getting too far off that optimum trajectory. Gets the nose down, starts to get nice and low towards the ground. Helps with that gravity assist to keep the aircraft nice and fast. The slowest the aircraft got was 147 knots. 147 was the slowest point. So he's in great shape as long as he can just keep this methodical left to right motion. Don't let the aircraft climb up or balloon. Keep the nose as close as he can to the ground and then set the aircraft up for the turn of death, which is approaching here. This big dreaded left hand 180 degree turn that we're setting up for now. Takes a nice big cut out to the right hand side. He wants to start the left bank early, which he does nicely. Gets a little bit of an altitude climb on so that he can then get the nose down and run through the back gate. Goes through at 107 knots. Not the fastest, but certainly not the slowest we've seen going through there. And he's got, look how quickly he gets the nose down onto the ground as well, transferring all that potential altitude energy into ground speed and really trying to get to the top end as fast as he can. Great flying by Sharkbait here, already doing 175 knots, doing an absolutely fantastic job, sir. This is going to look at one of the top high-end speeds that we've seen. We're doing 179 knots. We might do 180 before the last gate. There it is, ladies and gentlemen, 180 knots. Some great flying by Shark here. Just needs to nail this last turn, and he's going to really be in contention. Gets very close to the inside pylon, and then threads the needle up above 130 knots. It's going to be a time of 98.6. Wow, fantastic. I think that's the fastest time we've seen so far, Dimitri. 98.6.
Exactly. Right now it's a record, and he have a good chances to climb on the podium. But
Yeah.
right now we have a few more competitors, so
Yeah, and the pressure is on as well, so yeah, a fantastic time, but certainly the race is not over. We have some very, very fast pilots to come up and show us their stuff. One of which is actually Yul Danny, who takes to the skies now in his K50. Had a great performance last weekend and managed to secure himself a position here today in the finals. Another Spanish pilot as well, so Spain really bringing the power, really bringing the flex out from Spain today, guys. 2 Spanish pilots in the finals, great to see. Okay, here he goes. Not looking to set the world on fire from the start, only doing 160 knots through gate 1, but that's going to make his first couple of turns very manageable. He is a little bit late going through pylon 1 on his turn. That's making turns 3 and 4 a little bit difficult for him, but he handles them superbly well. Climbs the aircraft a little bit too much though. It's not hurt him too badly. The slowest the aircraft got was 144 knots, but I think he could have been even faster if he didn't let the aircraft climb as high. He has transferred that altitude down low now and transferred that into ground speed. That's going to be some good potential recovery for him. He is climbing a little bit too much. That's going to cost him just these little half knots. It's going to make the time up at towards the end, but so far so good for Yul Danny. Let's wish him luck going through the turn of death here. Good left hand early cut, very close to the inside pylon. Takes a decent altitude cut, doesn't let the aircraft get too slow, goes through with 110 knots. Nice little altitude transfer into ground speed as well. Points the nose down towards the ground and just starting to rate. Wants to get as fast as he can. Maybe wants to bring that nose down a little bit more just to transfer that little 15 to 20 feet that he's got into ground speed. And he does start to do that as he allows the aircraft to get even lower, approaching 172 knots as we head towards gate 16. 175, 176, a very quick time from Yul Danny coming up here. 178 knots as we approach the final turn. Starts the bank early, well done. Looks for a little bit of altitude to help with the gravity assist going through the final gate. This is looking good. And thread the needle through he goes. A 99.5. Some very quick times being shown by these pilots here. Not as fast as the previous guy we've seen, but still very, very competitive. A sub 100 time for Yul Danny in the K50. Well done, sir. Okay, that's the first 3 runs done by our first 4 competitors. Now we have our final 4. Now these guys are the fastest guys in from the qualifying stages in the semi-finals that we had last weekend. All 4 of these pilots set absolutely blistering times. So the pressure is really on for these guys. First up is going to be Free Jack in the KA50. Now, Free Jack last weekend set a 1:39, so a time of 99 seconds. Free Jack set, so he'll be looking to do at least that today, and he's going to need to as well. We've already had some very quick pilots today, so if Free Jack wants to make that podium and get a top 3 finish, he's going to have to put in something below 99 seconds. I think the winner is going to be somewhere about 97 seconds, which is what we've seen last weekend for the fastest time. But you never know. The pressure really is on these fast guys, and when the pressure's on, that's when people start making mistakes. So, yeah, let's just... The race isn't over until the fat lady sings, so let's see how these guys perform. Free Jack setting up with a little bit of an altitude cut. Once you start running downhill now from about 1,700 feet, we're already doing 165 knots. So once they go through gate 1 as quick as he can. And let's see how he sets up for pylon number 1. Here we go. Free Jack representing the KA50. Quick snap turn to the left. Good switch back to the right hand side. Lots of pedal work. Allowing the aircraft to just slowly descend. You see how he's trying to avoid the aircraft climbing or that nose ballooning up the way as he goes round these pylons. It's a great start from Free Jack. The slowest the aircraft got was 153 knots. So you really see the difference, guys, between the pilots that we've seen early on in the competition letting the aircraft get as slow as 135 knots to the fastest competitors now, which the slowest free jack allowed the aircraft to get was 153 knots. So that is going to really pay big dividends for him in terms of time saved as he approaches the turn of death at 170 knots. This is going to be a blistering time for free jack. Big cut out to the right hand side. Starts the left hand turn of death nice and early. Stomps on that left pedal to get the nose down. Going through the back gate with 119 knots going through gate number 14. 50.9 seconds to that point. This is going to be a very quick time. This might actually be the fastest time we've seen so far, guys. He's already doing 165 knots as he goes through gate number 15. 65.8 seconds. 172 knots already. I'm getting really excited for Free Jack here. This is, if he could just nail this last turn, this is going to be a very quick time indeed. He's almost doing 180 knots going through gate 16. This is the fastest speed we've seen up to this point. 179. Doesn't quite make 180, but sets up this big teardrop turn here, which is what we're looking for. A little bit of a balloon, check in the middle, nose down, going through it. Oh my god, at 98.1. Well done, dude. No penalties at 98.1. A 138.1 for Free Jack on his first run. I think that's going to be good enough to make some other competitors start sweating. The heat is on for these guys. Divine Fire Sagent taken to the skies next. The pressure really is on now. Another Russian competitor coming in here in Sagent. Mr. Razenkov. Hopefully I pronounced his name right. Very talented pilot. Ah, thank you. Takes a big altitude cut, Dimitri, from 1900 feet. Going to go downhill at a fantastic rate of knots. Looks like he's offsetting a little bit to the left. Might be squaring it up a little bit now. Yeah, it looks like he is getting himself to the right hand side. Wants to set up to get that left hand turn done nice and early. Goes through with 175 knots. He needs to be so precise with this. And it's very smooth. Very, very smooth fly. Look at this guy, Dimitri. Wow. This is a great start. The slowest the aircraft got is 154 knots. So very similar to the last time we've seen by Free Jack. Although Sagent is letting the aircraft climb a little bit. Free Jack was very disciplined with that. So that might just cost Sagent a little bit of a half second, maybe a couple of milliseconds there, by allowing the aircraft to climb back up to about 30 feet. He is costing himself a little bit on the potential energy stakes, but very smooth start, very impressive so far. Already doing 171 knots as he approaches this big 180 degree left hand turn. Nice overbank to the left hand side, checks in the middle, gets that nose down, runs through the back gate with 107 knots, so a tiny little bit slower than Free Jack was. But he was very, very quick through the first 4 gates, so hopefully that's going to pay off for him as he keeps that nose very low to the ground, just trying to get the collective on as much as possible, getting as much power to go through that dual rotor system of the K50. He's already doing 170 knots. You can see the aircraft starting to torque as he just has a little bit of a roll to the right hand side as he's fighting that torque, starting to drift to the right nice and early to set up for the final turn, doing 179 knots now, might get to 180, does get to 180, so he is a little bit faster than Free Jack. He just needs to nail this last turn. Big stamp on the left pedal, stick all the way to the left hand side on the cyclic. He needs to be careful as he freights to go through here right on the end. Boom! A 97.3, wow! And wow, I can't even speak! A 1 minute 37.3 by Sagent. Oh my god, that is fantastic.
Yes, results are starting to get really good. Guys were practicing today whole morning, so when we saw what results they gave on constant basis, so not just crash and result, but result, one after another, with good decent times. We were all impressed here.
Every time we've seen so far, Dimitri, has been faster than the previous time. So these guys displaying some outrageous skill. we have the fastest guy in the competition so far up for the next run, BSD Randy in the K50. The pressure is really on him, I think. The last time actually matched his fastest time from last weekend. I'm sure Randy has been working hard all week and getting ready to really bring his skills to bear today and hopefully finish in first place. He takes a very similar altitude cut to the last pilot as he goes through the first gate again at 174 knots, the same as Sagent did. But it is BSD Randy that's up, and he's off to a little bit of a, well, I wouldn't say that's a bad start. Doesn't look as smooth as Sagent's start though. He's a little bit delayed going through pylon number 4. The aircraft got down to, oh no, disaster! Disaster has struck, the pressure got to him. And unfortunately Randy is going to touching down. That's a smooth landing, guys. We'll trim that out. But it looks like the pressure getting to Randy just a little bit as the fastest man in the competition. Seeing the absolutely blistering time from Sagent really put him under pressure. You see that he just gets a little bit out of sync here, and as a result he gets too close to the inside pylon and just clips both rotors off that, and that is it, game over at that point. Disaster. Okay, BSD Mike taken to the skies now in the MI-24. Mike with a big altitude cut again from around about the 1800 foot mark, really wants to be downhill. Looks like he's setting up for in excess of 170 knots possibly he's targeting going through gate number 1. He's already doing 172 knots at this stage, so it's going to be a very quick entry for him. Here he goes, 171 knots going through gate 1. Nice altitude start as well. Look how high he is. He wants to start translating that into nose down now. It's a good start so far. The slowest we've got now is 146, 140, 138. Oh no, it's gone horribly wrong for Mike. He's a little bit too slow, I'm afraid. It's starting to smooth out nice, but he just got himself outside of the optimum trajectory going through the first 3 pylons, and I'm afraid he's going to pay the price because the last guys that went were all doing more than 150 knots going round pylon number 4. And unfortunately Mike was down at about 138 knots going through pylon number 4. So he's put himself on the back foot. It's by no means over. He can still use this first run to get some good practice here and set himself up for a second one as he overbanks coming round the turn of death. Wants a good run in here to get to top speed as fast as he can going down the back straight. Goes through the bottom pylon with 108 knots. Now it's all about power, power, power. Just get that nose down, that collective up, and run the aircraft as fast as you can. Now he's not as quick as the K50s were at this point. He is doing 172 knots and going through gate 16 at 174. So it's actually not too bad. The K50s were about 176 going through that final gate, so he still has a chance to get a good competitive time posted up here as he starts the overbank nice and early. Doesn't want to lose too much momentum. He puts the nose up, wants to transfer that and the nose down now, get that gravity assist as he goes through the final gate, and there's a time with no penalties of 103.8 seconds, so about 5 seconds slower than the fastest time that we've seen so far today. And I think that was just because he let the aircraft get a little bit out of shape on the first couple of turns there. So he'll be looking to do better next time. Here we have the very quick Rybin 777 taken to the skies again.
Judging by statistics, he have 2 seconds with a half to keep up with best results so far.
Yeah, and 2.5 seconds might not sound like an awful lot of time, but really he has to be absolutely perfect to make up 2.5 seconds, because there isn't a lot of time available on the course. You just need to make sure that he nails. I think the key part, Dimitri, is the first 4 pylons. If you can keep the aircraft speed above 150 knots, then you're in with a really good chance. If you let it get any slower than that, it's almost impossible to recover the time, especially against these very talented pilots. So Ryben taking a altitude cut on a downhill, 167 knots as he approaches gate 1. He's got a good altitude posture as well, so he wants to thread the needle through as high as he can and then start working the aircraft down. Very smooth start by Ryben. This is looking good. Needs to get the switchback done nice and quickly as he approaches pylon number 4. This is the most difficult part. The slowest he got was 148 knots. So he's not too far off the pace now. He needs to start pushing the cyclic forward to get that nose down closer to the runway and get that assist, and that's what he is doing now. You see how low he's letting the aircraft starting to get, creeping it down, incrementally getting lower and lower as he goes round these pylons. Approaching 165 knots. Setting up for the left-hand turn of death, 180 degree. Nice altitude posture here as he goes way up and then way nose down. I like this. Goes through the bottom gate with 112 knots. Setting himself up really nicely to get the aircraft up to its top speed as fast as possible. Doing a great job at letting the aircraft get as low to the ground as he can and transferring all that altitude advantage into airspeed and just getting moving as quickly as he possibly can to start heading towards gate number 16. He's already doing 173 knots at this point. So he's probably going to go through gate 16 above 175, and he is. He's already doing 177. Might even get to 180 knots before he starts this turn. 179. Just shy of 180. Doesn't quite get to 180. Big stamp on the left pedal though. Gets that nose moving and maintains as much momentum. This is fantastic. What a way to finish. And he goes through with a 99.5. Well done, Ryben. Okay, Sharkbait up next. One of the fastest Mi-24 pilots that we've seen in the competition so far. Had an absolutely fantastic run out on his first run. Let's see if he can do even better on his second one coming up now. Just a quick reminder for everybody watching the stream. Make sure you click on the link for VIRPIL Controls for your chance to win a Shark A50 control panel just for answering our question, which is how many components do you think are inside the control panel? Click on the link, submit your name and your answer for that chance to win the KA50 control panel.
Повторю это для наших русскоязычных зрителей. Проходите по ссылке, указывайте имя и адрес электронной почты, отвечайте на вопрос, сколько деталей в контрольной панели Шарка 50, и, возможно, вы сможете ее выиграть.
Okay, Sharkbait through pylon number 1 with 165 knots, negotiating another one. So he's getting a little tiny bout of shape. He's down to 134 knots. Unfortunately, this is not great from Sharkbait. He is down on his personal best by almost a full second as well, so he's going to be feeling the pressure. He's a very talented pilot, this young man, however, so he will be looking to try and recover that time, and he can do it if he can just nail the 180 degree turn at the bottom of the course. He can look at salvaging that 1 second back, but he has made it difficult for himself. But hopefully he can manage to negotiate this turn here, get a good top end speed going down the back straight, and then finish with style. Sets up the turn of death nicely with the rollover to the left hand side. Doesn't want the aircraft to get too slow, wants to carry that momentum through, keep the speed up above 100 knots, goes through with, unfortunately that's bite him. That has bit him in the backside, I'm afraid. He's taking a little bit too much, taking too much out the cake, and yeah, he's ballooned the aircraft. I think we went through the bottom gate doing 95 knots, and we hit the ground going through the back end there. So yeah, I'm afraid this doesn't look like it's going to beat his personal best, which is a shame for Sharkbait because he flew such a good round on the first time. Good recovery though, he's got himself up to 180 knots already, so a fantastic recovery from Sharkbait. Let's see if he can just nail this final turn. Starts to turn nice and early, gets sweet and close to the inside pylon, maintains a lot of momentum going through the bottom corner, and that's a good time. Unfortunately, it's not going to be competitive enough. Just too many mistakes from Sharkbait, obviously really feeling the pressure, and that's a second run time of 102.2 seconds. Looks like our final competitor for this section is going to be Yo Danny, our Spanish friend representing in the KA50. The pressure is really on. Through a brilliant run on his first section. Let's see if he can go out and improve. We will have his personal best times posted up as he flies down the course, so he needs to match those times obviously, but he's looking to do a little bit better. If he can just eke out a little half-second advantage going down the first section, he can then try and claw back maybe another half-second going up the back straight to improve with a full 1 second. He's 2.2 seconds behind the best time that we've seen so far, so yeah, maybe those little half-second increments are not going to do it, so he's going to be putting a lot of pressure on himself to manage to try and find 2.2 seconds from somewhere on this track. Can he do it? Let's find out. Doesn't want to be too aggressive with his altitude start on the downhill. Starts his roll in from about 1400 feet. Obviously doesn't want to be too fast going through gate number 1 to make sure that he can manage the aircraft's manoeuvrability going around the first set of pylons. He goes through gate number 1 with 165 knots, which actually is quite quick. Look at how disciplined he's been with the nose as well, trying to make sure that the aircraft descends and doesn't climb. He's getting a little bit out of shape with the balloon there though. Keeping the aircraft speed nice and fast though, doing a fantastic job at this point is Yo Danny. The slowest the aircraft got was 151 knots versus what we've seen from the last pilot down at 137, around about that area. So Yo Danny setting himself up for a very quick time here, just needs to be very smooth and methodical from this point on. It's all about just maximising speed across the ground, getting to the bottom gate with as much speed as possible, and then just nailing this 180 degree left hand turn. He is a little bit slower than his personal best by a second though, so somewhere he needs to find 3 seconds on this back straight, which is a big ask. He goes through the bottom gate with 115 knots, so if he is going to do it, he's set himself up for a very fantastic opportunity to make sure that happens. Takes a good altitude cut as he goes round 180 and then just points that nose down. He's already doing 160 knots by the time he reaches gate 15. And he has managed to recover 1 second. He was 1 second behind his personal best. Now he's 1 second up. So he has managed to find some time, has Yo Danny. He's already doing 177 knots. If he can nail this final turn, he's in chance with a really good competitive time. Here we go. 179 knots. Starts the turn nice and early, doesn't want to lose too much speed. Very methodical entry into the corner, keeps a lot of momentum going through. 133 knots, and it's a finishing time of 98.2 seconds, which translate into the third fastest time we've seen this session. So unfortunately it's not going to be the quickest time we've seen, but it still is very good. Well done, Yo. Next up we have the fastest guy of the day so far, Divine Fire Sagent, who got off to a blistering start on his first attempt. He was very, very smooth, incredibly smooth to be honest. Out of all the pilots we've seen negotiating the first 3 pylons, this guy has looked the most in control. The turns were It hardly looked like he was even touching the controls at all. It was so smooth and so precise. He managed to keep the aircraft speed above 155 knots, and that really translated into his lap time, as we've seen a 1:37 out of this guy, which is by far the fastest time we've seen so far. So yeah, let's see if he can replicate that, or perhaps even do even better. He'll be looking to improve his time because he'll know that the pressure is on and the others are coming from him. Starts himself up with a nice downhill posture. Wants to go into gate 1 with more than 170 knots. He's doing 179 knots going through gate 1. Let's see if he manages his speed. Nice smooth turn. He has to be quite aggressive because he's so fast and very methodical, very smooth. 160, 154, 153, 148. Yeah, because he was so fast going through the first gates, he had to bleed off quite a lot of speed to make sure he made it round those corners. And the slowest we've seen the aircraft get, guys, was 149 knots from Sajin. So that very fast start might have cost him as he went through pylons 3 and 4, but he has recovered very well. We're already back up to the top end of around about 170 knots as he approaches the bottom of the runway. He is a little bit slower than his personal best time by almost a full second, so he's going to want to try and nail this turn. Doesn't want to take too much momentum off as he cuts it very fine, very quick through this bottom corner, goes through the bottom gate with 160 knots over the aircraft, so he'll be able to get to the top end speed, looking at definitely doing about 180 knots by the time he gets to the final turn. Still just a little bit down on his personal best, which was a 1:37, so it's a big ask for him to go faster than his personal best. A 1:37.3 was the fastest he's done it, so yeah, anything faster than that is going to be a new record. He is doing 180 knots already, so if he can just thread the needle through this last section, it's going to be a good one. Here we go. Stamps on that left pedal. Side click to the left. Wants to maintain momentum with a little check in the middle and threads the needle at the back end. It's going to be a 98.0. So unfortunately not quicker than his previous time, but still very competitive from Mr. Sajin. Well done. Okay, here comes the man with literally the weight of the whole world on his shoulders, guys. BSD Randy, who was the fastest pilot in qualifying. We were expecting very big things from him on his first run, but unfortunately he pushed the limit too fine and he actually crashed on the first one. So there's a huge amount of pressure on my Italian friend here, Randy. But if anybody can do it, it's this guy, the fastest guy in the qualifying stages. He's in his favourite aircraft, the KA-50. He's taking a massive altitude cut as well, guys. He's already up at 2,500 feet, so it's going to be a huge downhill entry for him. I hope he's not going to try too hard. I don't want to see him crash at the start of the course again. That would be horrible. One of the most talented competitors that we've seen in the competition. I hope he manages to thread these first 4 needles without incident. He's already doing 185 knots. Oh my god, I almost can't watch. Here we go, 187 knots through the start. Needs to be lightning quick going through here. Very good inputs, very precise. Needs to be quick on the switch back to the left hand side. Doesn't want to get the aircraft too slow. We're down to 152 knots, 145. 145 is the slowest he got, but he was very, very fast at the start. Hopefully he can translate that through into a good time. He's already back up to 106 knots. It looks like the worst part is over. He's translating all his altitude into airspeed now as he lets the aircraft get as close to the ground as possible. This could be a blistering time from Randy. He was setting some good times in practice this morning, but yeah, the pressure is on. A good start though, isn't too greedy, keeps the turn nice and short, uses a nice little altitude advantage, goes through with 102 knots through the bottom gate, setting himself up nicely for the back end run, down the bottom straight towards the end, wanting to try and get to 180 knots as fast as he can. He's already doing 165. 176, 177, coming up to gate 16, 179 knots. This is very quick indeed, guys, very quick. 180. Starts to turn nice and left, big stamp on that left pedal. Through it goes, and thread the needle. What's it going to be? A 97.4, the second fastest time we've seen so far. So it's not the quickest, but that is top 3 material, ladies and gentlemen.
First would be appropriate here.
It's a personal best for him, but that's no surprise because he did crash on his first run. But yeah, second best so far. I think the best time is a 1:37 by our Russian friend Sajent. But Free Jack is very fast as well. Representing in the K50, was very fast last weekend, has been very quick so far today, and he's going to get another chance at it heading out now. Needs to beat his personal best time today of a 1:38.1. He's only plus 0.8 seconds behind the fastest time, and that definitely is achievable for a man with this talent in the K50. Just needs to make sure he gets off to a good start. The first 4 pylons have actually been a very good point of Free Jack's flying. He's always done very well around the first 4 pylons, the first 4 obstacles, so he just needs to repeat that and recover some good speed towards the bottom of the track. Here we go. He's off to a good start, maybe getting a little bit off the optimum trajectory. It's a good recovery. This one's going to be a difficult turn. Oh no, Dimitri, no! Down he goes, another one bites the dust. It's an early landing for Free Jack, and he is on fire, ladies and gentlemen, but not in a good way.
Подожди. Опа.
So great footage in the replay there. We see, yeah, just he got a little bit too bent out of shape, Dimitri. He didn't get off to a good start, and he seemed to recognise that he was not on the optimum line, and so he was just a little bit too aggressive, trying to get the aircraft banked over to the right-hand side, and unfortunately suffered a rotor collision, which took him out of the round.
Okay, looks like we've got all players flown, so all results we have, and right now we can show our results.
Wow.
Okay, as our tournament table says, the third one with a time 1:38.13 on K50 is Free Jack from Russia.
Well done, Jack. A 1:38.1. Absolutely fantastic, sir.
Second one on K50 with time 1:37.43 is BSD Randy.
The Italian Stallion. Well done, sir. Fantastic time. 1:37.4.
Okay, and the first position, first prize, biggest of all, with great time of 1 minute 37 seconds, .33 on K50, Divine Fire Sajent from Russia. Woo!
Woohoo! And look how close it was as well, Sage. And that's just the Dimitri, the quality of the pilots that came in the top 3. Look, Sajin only won by 0.1 of a second, a 1:37.3 versus Randy in second place, a 1:37.4. So absolutely fantastic flying, guys. Very impressive. Congratulations.
Well, I remind our dear viewers that third prize for free jack will be collective from VIRPIL Controls with Sharka grip. BSD Randy will get collective and grip, and also he will get Warbird base with Warbird grip. And Sergeant, if he chooses to do so, he can get a coupon for 1000 euros or get the devices Warbird base, Warbird grip, VPC collective TCS base and Sharka grip, and also VPC flight pedals and control panel VPC Sharka 50. So we congratulations to our winners. We had a great time watching them, and right now we have another topic to discuss with our DS viewers. Right now we're finishing receiving results from competition that was held on this stream.
Oh, it's prize time, Dimitri. Someone's going to win a fantastic prize just for watching the stream.
Yes. We have 44 results, and let me check about who was the closest one to right results. But right now we have opportunity with our pilots, with our participants, to give them a chance to speak with our viewers, express their feelings, and and so on. Let's join them and speak with our winners.
Так, я...
Hello to all. Still nervous a little bit. First of all, I want to say that I'm a little bit disappointed by my second lap, but still I am the third, and I consider this is a huge success. And I want to congratulate all participants and of course the winners. You're the best, guys. I want to thank all the organizers, all the people who made a lot of efforts to make this tournament live. Of course, unfortunately, I was never meeting with Pavel, Shadow. But I'm glad that there are such people who dedicated to such kind of simulators and such kind of fun, if I may. And last but not least, I want to thank one special guy who teach me a lot of lessons about handling the K50, and more for that, he encouraged me to participate the tournament. This guy is board 046. So I hope he's watching the stream, and thanks a lot, man. I owe you much, and basically you're the best, and you should be with us today, but unfortunately some miss luck in semi-final. Okay, then sorry to have such long speech, still on emotions. Again, thanks a lot to all of our organizers and participants. So yeah, I'm happy. Thank you.
Congratulations, sir. Fantastic flying.
Congratulations, yes. So, next one is player participant who won the second place.
That was our Italian friend Randy.
Yeah, hi to
Randy,
all.
hello.
Yeah, the tournament was pretty cool, well organized. I appreciate a lot of the effort of everyone. I still have a lot of pressure around because the price was pretty high, so you know, I made a mistake almost immediately out the gate. I was not the right angle to the first turn, so and after I clipped I think the third pylon, so and I was out. So yeah, I have a lot of pressure on the second lap, but I try to push a lot. I made a lot of mistakes again, but at least I won the second place. So a lot of congratulations to Sergeant that he made very nice lap. It was pretty fun on the training before the race. We flown together. We made some formation lab to train a little bit, and we stacked a lot of very cool times. But yeah, the pressure is a part of the game, so yeah.
Okay, we had our second winner and the winner of the whole tournament. The guy who showed I don't know how to say it. I'm lost of words to describe how good he was on all stages from qualifications to top 16. Divine Fire, Sergeant from Russia.
Hi to all, Mom, I'm on TV.
Sergeant, if you want, you can say on Russian.
И можно говорить по-русски, тогда отлично.
I think you deserved it.
Если так, то я первым делом хочу поблагодарить всех организаторов данного события и пособолезновать всем близким Павла. Я с ним лично, как вы понимаете, вообще никак не контактировал, но из того, что мне рассказал Денис Инферно, я думаю, что он сделал огромный вклад в то, каким является сейчас один из лучших вертолетов в ДКС, ТК-50. У меня больше нет слов, я просто тренировался много, и вот и все, вот и результат.
Мы тебя в любом случае поздравляем, ты проявил себя невероятно круто. Это был сложный турнир для всех, но ты справился, ты пережил это напряжение, ты выдержал каждый этап, ты добился своего и ты добился огромных призов. Поэтому мы тебя с этим поздравляем. От команды всей VIRPIL Controls, от команды всей занимавшейся турниром Shadow Trophy. Congratulations, Divine Fire Sergeant from Russia.
Thank you, спасибо. Еще можно кое-что скажу. Спасибо Фриджеку, Лёше и Рэнди. Благодаря ним последние 2 дня для меня прошли с расслаблением, и я не стал напрягаться на гонке.
Okay, we'll translate it to Randy a little bit later, and Frijek will understand you perfectly, I think. Okay, thanks for interview, congratulations. Your prizes will be coming soon, so we're back to our studio with Maverick. Okay, right now we have one last business to discuss and to announce our winner among those who watched our stream. So, with a little bit mistakes on my side from with audio, some of you may heard his nickname. Well, the correct answer to the question how many parts are in control panel 3, also known as VPC Sharka 50 control panel, is 439.
Wow.
Yeah, that much. So we had a lot of viewers who participated in this event. Some of them even counted thousands. But the one who was closest to the right answer was Darth Bane with the answer 457.
Hey,
So-
Darth Bane, well done, sir, well done.
So he won not only coupon for participating in Top 64, but became a winner of our viewers competition. So congratulations, your prize will be delivered to you soon. So we'll contact you. Once again, congratulations to you, to all pilots who participated in this tournament. Shadow's Trophy team, VIRPIL Controls, wants to thank all the pilots who participated in qualification, who gave support and information about how tournaments went for them, who gave us feedback and so much more. We read a lot of warm words on our site, on our Discord channel about this tournament, so we're pleased to hear it. We are promising that this is not the end, so there will be more tournaments, maybe not like this exactly, but we can assure you there will be more, and we're deeply grateful to all who watched, participated and cheered for us. Thank you very much. Well, with this, I think it's time to finish our stream.
It's been an absolute pleasure, Dimitri. I've had an awful lot of fun, and you guys really have done Shadow proud. This was a fantastically well put together competition. The quality of the production was fantastic as well, so credit to you guys at VIRPIL for the excellent stream setup and all the camera work and the replays and the scores and the statistics and the website, and also to the prizes. You guys have been so generous with that, and I know the community will be looking forward to more competitions in the future from VIRPIL. Well done. Thank you so much for having me here, guys. I really enjoyed it.
Yes, and thanks to you. It was so good to watch, because you were the cherry on top of this stream. So good work, Maverick. Thank you for joining us, and dear viewers, good luck, goodbye, and we'll see you next time. Bye bye.
Happy holidays, guys. Bye bye.
Happy holidays.